Hello, students. I am going to read out loud for you Chapter 2 of Robin Hood. And this is from our Robin Hood book that we started in school a couple weeks ago. It is by J. Walker McSpadden. Chapter 2, How Robin Hood Met Little John. And here is the little ballad that starts each chapter. And a ballad is kind of like a little poem or a song. And this is where we get all of the Robin Hood stories from, are these old ballads. "Oh, here is my hand," the stranger replied. "I'll serve you with all my whole heart. My name is John Little, a man of good mettle. Never doubt me, for I'll play my part." "His name shall be altered," said Will Stutely, "and I will his godfather be. Prepare then a feast, and none of the least, for we will be merry," said he. All that summer, Robin Hood and his merry men roamed in Sherwood Forest, and the fame of their deeds spread abroad in the land. The sheriff of Nottingham raged over the outlaws, but all his traps and searches failed to catch them. Oh, and I forgot to point out there's a little text feature down here at the bottom, as we know, and it has some vocabulary words. And so back up here where it says, "My name is John Little, a man of good mettle." And so mettle is an attitude of courage and endurance. Ooh, that reminds me of a virtue. What virtue does that remind you of? I was thinking fortitude. All right, back to up at the top of 23. "The poor people first feared them, but when they found that Robin Hood's men meant them no harm, but took from the rich and gave to the poor, they began to have a great liking for them. The band increased, till by the end of the summer, 80 men had sworn loyalty." Wow, so now there's 80 men who live in Sherwood Forest with Robin and his men. But the quiet days seemed dull to Robin's adventurous spirit. One morning he rose and slung his quiver over his shoulder. And a quiver is where you keep your arrows. "This fresh breeze stirs the blood, lads," said he, "and I want to see what the world looks like in the direction of Nottingham. But you tarry behind in the borders of the forest, within earshot of my bugle call." Oh, and tarry is one of our vocabulary words. It means stay or wait. So he's asking them to stay behind and wait until you hear, then you come. Thus saying, he strode merrily forward to the edge of the forest and paused there a moment, his agile body erect. So he's standing up nice and tall, his brown locks flowing. Locks are your hair, and his brown eyes watching the road. So you can kind of visualize Robin Hood standing there, just kind of watching the road. The highway was clear in the direction of town, but at a bend in the road, he turned onto a path leading across a brook, which made the way shorter and less open. As he approached the stream, so stream and brook, synonyms. As he approached the stream, he saw that it had become swollen by recent rains into quite a torrent. Ooh, torrent is another one of our vocabulary words. So torrent is like a rushing water, like a surge, almost like the stream has been flooded. The log footbridge was still there, but he had no sooner started across than he saw a tall stranger coming from the other side. Robin quickened his pace, in other words, he sped up, and the stranger did likewise, each thinking to cross first. They met at the middle of the log, and neither would yield an inch. So this is kind of funny. I'm sort of visualizing two strangers coming up, try to cross a bridge at the same time, and then they kind of meet in the middle, like, excuse me. "Give way, fellow," roared Robin. The stranger smiled. He was almost a head taller than Robin. "Nay," he retorted, "I give way only to a better man than myself." Ooh, it's a bit of a burn there. He's like, "I'm not getting out of your way." "Give way, I say," repeated Robin, "or I shall have to show you a better man." So they're kind of taunting each other here. His opponent budged not an inch, but laughed loudly. "Now," he said good-naturedly, "I'll not move after hearing that speech, even if I might have before. I have sought this better man my whole life long, therefore show him to me. Well, that will I right soon, said Robin. Stay here while I cut a cudgel like that you have been twiddling in your fingers. All right, cudgel is another one of our vocabulary words. It means a thick branch, a big stick, or a staff. So saying, he leapt to his own bank again, laid aside his long bow and arrows, and cut a stout staff of oak. So a thick staff, a big branch or stick of oak, a good 6 feet in length. Ooh, and that would be a pretty long stick, pretty long cudgel. So Miss Taylor's about 5.5 feet tall, so taller than Miss Taylor. Still, it was a full foot shorter than his opponent's. Then back he came boldly. I do not mind telling you, fellow, said he, that an archery match would have been an easier way for me. So we know Robin is very good at archery. He's like, I would have rather done archery with you and competed that way, but there are other tunes in England besides those an arrow sings. Then he whirled the staff above his head. So make ready for the tune I am about to play upon your ribs. 1, 2, 3, roared the giant, striking at him instantly. Fortunately for Robin, he was quick and nimble, for the blow that grazed his shoulder would have felled an ox. Nevertheless, while swerving to avoid this stroke, Robin was preparing for his own, and back he came with a whack. Whack, parried the other. Whack, 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 whack. The fight was fast and furious. It was strength pitted against skill. The mighty blows of the stranger went whistling around Robin's ducking head. Can you just imagine this? Are you visualizing, I hope, this sort of fight going back and forth? Whack, whack, whack. All right. The mighty blows of the stranger went whistling around Robin's ducking head, while his own swift undercuts gave the stranger an attack of indigestion. Ooh, in other words, it kind of hurts in his stomach and his guts. Yet each stood firmly in his place, not moving backward or forward a foot for a good half hour. So for 30 minutes, they're just going back and forth and back and forth. The giant's face was getting red, and his breath came snorting forth like a bull's. Ooh, we know what that is when they compare two things using this word like. So they're comparing the giant's breath here to a bull's. He's like sort of breathing so hard, and his face is all red. He's like a bull. Robin dodged his blows lightly, then sprang in swiftly and unexpectedly and gave the stranger a wicked blow upon the ribs. Ooh, right in the side. Ooh, here's a nice illustration for us. Robin Hood meeteth the tall stranger on the bridge. So some Old English for us. And there we can see. Let's think about this as we continue reading. Which one is Robin? The stranger reeled and nearly fell, but regained his footing. By my life, you can hit hard, he gasped, giving back a blow as he staggered. That blow was a lucky one. It caught Robin off his guard. His stick had rested a moment while he looked to see the giant topple into the water, when down came a whack on his head that dropped Robin neatly into the stream. Oh, so this is kind of funny. So I think what's happened here, let's see. Robin was waiting while he looked to see the giant. So he's expecting the giant, this person, to fall into the water, when down came a whack on his own head that dropped Robin neatly into the stream. So it sounds like he is the one who fell in. The cool, rushing current quickly brought him to his senses, but he was still so dazed that he groped blindly for the swaying reeds to pull himself up on the bank. His opponent could not help laughing heartily, but he also thrust down his long staff to Robin, crying, "Lay hold of that." So I'm doing some inferring here that his opponent is being quite friendly. Kind of seems like maybe he's a nice guy. So he's not laughing at him. I mean, he did laugh. He laughed heartily, but he's also helping him. So I'm inferring that he's a nice guy. Robin took hold and was hauled to dry land like a fish. Ooh, he was hauled to dry land like a fish. Simile. He lay upon the warm bank for a while to regain his senses. Then he sat up and rubbed his head. By all the saints, said he, my head hums like a beehive on a summer morning. Ooh, it its head hummed like a beehive. Then he picked up his horn, which lay near, and blew 3 shrill notes that echoed among the trees. A moment of silence followed. Then the rustling of leaves and the crackling of twigs could be heard. And from the glade, that's a spelling, not a spelling word, a vocabulary word for us. A glade is a clearing in the forest, an open space. From the glade 24 yeomen burst, all clad in Lincoln green like Robin, with Will Stutely and the widow's 3 sons at their head. "Good master," cried Will Stutely, "how is this? There is not a dry thread on you." "This fellow would not let me pass the footbridge," replied Robin, "and when I tickled him in the ribs, he answered with a pat on my head that sent me in the stream." Then shall he taste some of his own porridge," said Will. "Seize him, lads." "Nay, let him go free," said Robin. "The fight was a fair one. Are you ready to quit?" he continued, turning to the stranger with a twinkling eye. "I am content," said the other, "for I like you well, and I wish to know your name. My men, and even the Sheriff of Nottingham, know me as Robin Hood the outlaw." "Then I am right sorry that I beat you," exclaimed the man, "for I was on my way to join your company. But now that I have used my staff on you, I fear you will not have me." "Oh, nay, never say it," cried Robin. "I am glad you fell in with me, though I did all the falling." As the others laughed, the 2 men clasped hands, and the strong friendship of a lifetime began. "But you have not told us your name," said Robin. Where I came from, men call me John Little." "Enter our company then, John Little." Let's see, I thought his name was Little John. "And welcome. All we ask is your whole mind and body and heart, even unto death." "I give you the bond on my life," said the tall man. Then Will Stutely, who loved a good joke, spoke up and said, "The infant in our household must be christened, and I'll be his godfather. This stranger is so small of bone and muscle that his old name does not suit the purpose." Here Will paused long enough to fill a horn in the stream, and then he stood on tiptoe to splash the water on the giant. "I christen you Little John." So they're making a joke here. They're pretending to baptize him. In certain traditions, when you get baptized sort of into the church, you get a new name. They give you a new name, and so they're giving him a new name. It's kind of funny because his name is John Little, and they're just switching it. So now they're going to make him Little John. And this is Will Stutely who's giving him this name, and he loved a good joke. And he's calling him the infant in our household. In other words, the newest, the newbie, the rookie gets a new name. "I christen you Little John." At this, the men roared long and loud. "A bow and a full sheath of arrows for Little John." At this, the men roared. Oops, I already read that. "A bow and a full sheath of arrows for Little John," said Robin joyfully. "Can you shoot as well as you fight with the staff, my friend?" "I have hit an ash twig at 40 yards, said Little John. And we know that a yard, if we stretch our arms out, we know a yard is a mighty meter, and in wimpy yard, it's just a little bit less than a meter. So 40 yards. Ooh, challenge, how many feet are in a yard? There's 3 feet in a yard. So 3 feet times 40. How many feet would that be? Let's see, 3 times 40. 3 times 4 is 12. Add a 0. 120 feet. Thus chatting pleasantly, the band turned back into the woodland and toward their hideaway, where the trees were the thickest. The moss was the softest, and a secret path led to a cave that was both safe and a stronghold, which means a fort. Here, under a mighty oak, they found the rest of the band with 2 fat does. Those are female deer. And here they built a fire and sat down to the meat and ale. Robin Hood in the center, with Will Stutely on the one hand and Little John on the other. Robin was happy with the day's adventure, even though he had gotten a drubbing. Oh, that's one of our vocabulary words. That means a beating, a roughing up. For sore ribs and heads will heal, and it's not every day that one can find a friend as true as Little John.